The Dallas Safari Club is a Dallas-based conservation organization with international presence, and specifically I'll speak to their mission a little bit, really three tenets to that, and that's conservation and education and hunter advocacy. And to back into the conservation a little bit, with a really strong thought based on science-delivered or science-based policy, so the importance of having good science to direct conservation. And then interwoven directly in that is also that need for well-regulated hunting and the dollars that come from that to put conservation on the ground. Education regarding conservation legacy, looking forward to make sure that there's a recruitment of new hunters, sportsmen, sportswomen into the future. Hunter advocacy is pretty straightforward, recognizing the constant attacks that come upon the hunting rights globally, and to make sure that that continues. A couple of things to know very clearly is that I am a very passionate hunter. I've hunted my entire life, was raised doing it, and will always be an active hunter. And on the other side, I'm also a certified wildlife biologist. So I think I bring that unique skill set of the practicing hunter and the understanding of really that intersection of hunting and science and policy and all of that. And so my desires are very clearly focused on making sure that conservation moving forward is based on good, sound science, recognizing that policy clearly shapes that as well, and the hunting advocacy side of it, being unapologetically strong in the need for hunting rights. My first few months, I see it really to meet, to get to understand and know the board, direction, priorities, to get to meet lots of the members, 6,000 plus members. Clearly the convention coming up in January will afford the opportunity to do those, as well as monthly membership meetings. So, as well as the opportunity to meet many of the industry partners, conservation partners, professional hunting organizations around the world, to hear from them, to understand and to know the needs so I can speak to them more clearly and more focused. And there'll be a time for a lot of listening, digesting information, and then really charting, hopefully, a very clear path forward. I think when you look at the mission of Dallas Safari Club, again, when you see the mission of conservation, education, and hunter advocacy, it speaks to what fuels all of us as hunters, as conservationists, practicing hunters, And I think that's relevant to really any and all people, those that have a passion and desire and care for what we do. And I think that's really pretty easily observed as well when you see the very large volunteer force that fuels DSC and really moves it forward. When you see so many people that are willing to freely give their time, talents, and abilities to something that they believe so strongly about, to me that speaks very specifically really to the heart of the organization, that it's something that people are very attracted to. Irrespective of where it is, if it's Texas or if it's Tanzania, anywhere in between, something has to have a value, if you will, for it to have a place. And if it's a ranch in West Texas, and if it's if there's not a value for a deer lease, it may be overgrazed to the nth degree with sheep and goats. When you see the value of a white-tailed deer or a turkey lease, there's a balance of that now. The landowner has the opportunity to make some money in sheep and goats, as well as make a fair amount of money on the hunting side. The same concept can be applied really anywhere in the world, in those places in which if the hunter's dollars are not there to pay to keep those animals present and there, it will be replaced by something. It will be replaced by a sugarcane farm, or cattle, or a strip mine, or whatever it might be. But something has to have a value for it to be there, and those hunters' dollars provide the value for those species to be there. And many times it may be the huntable species that provides the value, but then there's infinitely more species that benefit from the conservation dollars that come from water development, or just the opportunity to keep that large intact piece of brush. I've had the opportunity to work all across the state, as you know, working on wildlife management areas, working public hunting programs. That's an incredibly rewarding thing, to get to run a public hunt and to have a youth hunter show up, or someone to show up and just take a deer, whatever it might be, pigs or ducks or whatever it is. That was very rewarding. The opportunity to work on a lot of research projects, from ducks to wetland communities to dove, population surveys, all kinds of things, and then to serve in the dove program leader position, to work with folks from Canada to Mexico with regulations, developing harvest strategies, to helping Tamaulipas, Coahuila, and Nuevo Leon work on survey methodologies, so very would feel like meaningful things, to move conservation forward at pretty significant scales, and then to move to East Texas and to get to work with lots of conservation partners, that's very rewarding to see many people that are so passionate and caring about what we care for. If it's a landowner, we talk about the great privilege that we have to get to go behind a lock gate to work with a landowner. When we were invited as a Parks and Wildlife representative to come and provide recommendations to a landowner, it is a tremendous privilege for someone to provide that access to their property to you like that and say, look for your input. It's great. As well as the opportunity to just work with lots of different things, if it's a state legislature or whatever it might be, to provide a perspective. And And again, to speak to the people at Parks and Wildlife, I mean, they're very incredibly caring, passionate, professional people. I mean, just some of the best people that you'll ever meet, and I've been very privileged to get to work with them.